Good morning. This is Angela with today's A Cup of Tea. Another fun topic for today. Of course, most of them are fun. Some of them are less fun than others, but they always tend to be really easy and easy to fit into the picture, and that's why I let them just come to me the way they do. Anyway, the topic is talking about suspending our disbelief and how important that is on our path to enlightenment and on our path to remembering our divinity and that we've never left being the divine. I've talked about this a bazillion times. I've talked about how it is wonderful and we've done such a perfect job in this existence of letting the ego rule us and letting the ego rule the consciousness here and what we do and how we make decisions. And yet I've also talked about how many times have I talked about how the ego is really sort of like the pawn on a board game, where it basically can see what's in front of it, what's behind it, what's on either side, what the other pawns around it are doing, and it can make decisions based on that. If it's only making decisions based on that, though, look at how limited its decisions are. When the higher self is more like the player on the playing board. Actually, the higher self is really the one who creates the game. And so, but the higher self that's playing the game can say, well, that's really not our best choice. Our best choice goes that way, even though from the board it might not seem that way. And that's why we have that importance of tying into our higher selves and higher self. Well, then we can just change the whole board if we want to. We can just change the rules. We can do whatever we want, because if we can accept and remember the fact that we are in fact the divine, every single one of us, and we start at the highest level of belief, being that nothing is unattainable, that everything is attainable, everything is possible, because we created all of this, so we can change it. And I know I've talked about this a whole bunch of times. Even Krishna came to me in a meditation once, and I've only seen him a couple times, and I was standing there looking, and he told me straight out, we made the laws, we can change them. We made the rules, we can change them. So here's the thing: if we stay on that path of this can only happen this way, guess what you're doing? You're creating that. How many times have I talked about the intention experiment by Lynn McTaggart, and on how they've shown by research, if you look at the Institute of Noetic Sciences, how they've shown over and over again by research that what we expect around us happens. What we expect, of the behavior of the atoms and molecules around us happens. So if we take that to the larger scale, we create what's around us. And so, yes, there's the individual consciousness, then there's collective, then there's mass. And so we have different levels of creation. We've collectively agreed to create what this existence on Earth was about. We have a mass consciousness as to how we expect certain things. But where does it start? It starts from our individual perception. It starts from our individual beliefs. Then we have little pockets of different collective consciousness. And there's a lot of different levels. I mean, we've made this game that we call existence here on Earth like so complex. It's amazing. We're brilliant. Of course we're brilliant. We're eternal. We're the divine. We know everything. So if we start from that level of we are the divine, and I wrote a blog about this like a couple weeks ago, and it's talking about, it's not whether the glass is half full or half empty. It's remembering that the glass is always full and never gets tapped, never gets depleted. It is always full, and if we drink and drink and drink and drink, there'll still be water. If we decide we wanted to drink and drink and then change it to grape juice, we can so do that. That is our choice. And so that's part of this whole suspending disbelief. I love the way that we talk about how the more we take in childlike wonderment, the more we treat our lives and every day in the world around us with childlike wonderment, the more that happens in a faster rate and the more we progress. That's because what happens as a child, children are so believing, they're so open, and they're so accepting until we teach them not to. until their peers teach them not to, or their teachers teach them not to. And they've done studies on that too. They've done studies on, and I can't remember the research to quote right here, but they've done studies on how babies, when they're born, have certain cognitive processes. And I can't remember where they started for the age, but it was pretty young. And so theoretically, a baby is born with the ability to make any sounds it so chooses. And it can do any language in the universe. And they've done this research that has shown that, through different periods of a child's development, if certain things were eliminated from their reality, and it started with language. They started with the testing with language. And so then what happened is by a certain age, then guess what? They couldn't make those sounds anymore. However, if another child was introduced to a broader range of sounds and combinations, they were much more adept at that. Yet the other child's not in their reality. If they stopped putting things in a baby's reality, then they stop seeing it. They stop seeing it because then they reintroduce it later on. They have a hard time accepting it back into their reality because they've just never seen it. And so their eyes, their minds, their consciousness doesn't know how to process it. Just doesn't know how. So if you think about that, and we encourage our children, we encourage the little children to keep their perspective open and to listen to them, and to what they're saying, to what they're perceiving, and instead of limiting them, encouraging them to open up wider and to share their experiences. Well, guess what? They then never cut out certain things from their belief system. They never cut out certain things from what they see and what they experience, and they keep themselves unlimited. We have done a great job at limiting ourselves. That's been part of our existence. That's been part of the egoic existence. And so we're coming to the end of that. We're pretty much done. We're wrapping it all up. We're tearing off the Band-Aid and remembering all this stuff. So if you go back to that whole childlike wonderment thing, the coolest thing is the more you do that, the more you suspend disbelief and you tell the ego, shh, 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 listen, and just experience. Don't think, don't process, just allow it to come in. The more you do that, the more you will see, the more you will experience, the more exciting and more wondrous you will realize the universe is around us. And the more you'll remember that we are the divine and that we do in fact create our situations. We do in fact create what's around us. And when we can grasp that, then we are truly coming back to the idea of oneness. When I started doing this work, I've always been very creative. I've always liked to explore the out of bounds kind of perceptions and stuff, things that weren't of the norm. So when I started this work, I thought I was sort of ahead of the curve. It was funny because even though I was sort of blown away the way it came about with me, I still felt sort of okay. I sort of had the toolbox for it because I explored different things just for fun all through my life. But I didn't realize the depth and the width and the hugeness of all this. So I was guided early on, just believe. Just keep your mind open and allow. Don't even believe, just allow and see what comes to you. Well, that's sort of why I attribute the fact that I see and I experience all different kinds of beings. I experience, angels and creator and archangels and elementals and fairies and water sprites and star beings and also ascended masters of all different kinds of belief systems. I am not, many people just follow one belief system, and that's okay if that works for them. I like this fun. I love this colorful rainbow, this whole menagerie of all of these different beings, animal totems. There's just so many different beings of light for us to communicate with. They're all part of our family, and they're all here. They're all part of this complexity that we created, and they're all part of us too. So once we can relate to that, people always talk about, well, how do you talk to angels? I'm like I'm talking to you, like I'm talking to my best friend, like I'm talking to my sister or brother, because we are family, because we're all part of the same thing. And when we can remember that and we become much more comfortable with that, we stop being afraid of star beings and elementals and everything else, because then it just becomes curious and wonderful and enlightening. And it gives you more channels for information to come through to you. So, and it's much more colorful. So that's just something for you to consider. And so I'm going to do the clearing for today. And oh, before I do that though, your homework is this week is to find where you're limiting yourself. Find one place where you don't believe something, and just suspend your disbelief in that and open yourself to receive and to look at information, or even to meditate and call upon a certain kind of being or a certain kind of situation, or just look into it and consider it, or look at other people's perspectives and consider something new that you weren't believing before, and suspend your belief and see how that works. See if you can expand your horizons a little bit, because it's all possible. It's all allowed, because we create it all. Okay, so clearing for today. Would you like all the following without trauma, drama, or illness, without creating or recreating a situation for illustration or experience, and all with ease, grace, balance, harmony, joy, fun, excitement, adventure, bliss, and humor, and love? Would you like it for all versions of you, all times, all places, into the ever-expanding universe, to infinity and beyond? Would you also like all information brought forward in this clearing to come via instantaneous and comprehensive download with fully conscious understanding in the version of you and timeline and moment from which it is requested? And would you like for all of Creator's truths and understandings, perceptions, definitions, etc., that come through from this clearing also to replace yours, to become your own for divine alignment? And saying that, would you like to dissolve, resolve, clear, and release all etheric binding agreements that cause you to believe, that require you to set your beliefs in any way, that require you to believe things based on definitions that others give to you? And that's such a broad variety, but that's big. We've got a lot of agreements on that, and that's why, how we've gotten through all this. So would you like to dissolve, resolve, release, and clear all of those kind of etheric binding agreements? Thank all parties involved. Open the doors to apology and forgiveness in all directions. Download the feelings and understanding of apology and forgiveness in all directions to and from all parties. Would you like then to get Creator's truth and understanding on how it has served you to have these agreements and how it will serve you to be without them moving forward? And would you like to pull all beliefs about how to believe and how you believe, how you come to your beliefs, that you must do it a certain way, that it is only right, it's the only right way to do it is this way. It's sort of funny, beliefs about beliefs. To pull all of those. Would you like to pull all anxieties, fears, regrets, rejections, and anger that are related to those beliefs, and all the energy memory of that from the cellular level, and all self-limiting thoughts, words, and actions from the cellular level as well that are related to all that? Transform into Creator's light, send it back to Creator. Close those receptors absolutely and permanently, open new ones, saturate the cells with the highest vibration of Creator's unconditional love, and download the beliefs. I am free to believe whatever I choose without boundaries. I create what I believe. I believe what I create. Sort of back and forth. I know I am the divine and I create my reality. I can release my beliefs and choose my beliefs however I can. I believe anything is possible. Yeah, that's a big one. And download all the feelings and understandings with that. And knowing how to move forward like that, knowing how to move forward with those beliefs, and understanding how to do that and how to exist that way. And to download the feelings also that you're worthy, deserving, and able to, that's possible, allowed, okay, and safe to, that you're ready, willing, and able to, and you have that in your life right now. And then would you like to write off as complete in the Akashic records, heal, resolve, and clear the timelines in all directions to infinity and beyond with the violet and platinum flames, and offer that to all ancestors and descendants, their version, if they so choose to accept. If you would like that, take a deep breath, clear your mind, be open to receive, and say, yes, believing. And that's it. I'll let you go. Have a great one. We'll talk to you later in the week. This is Angela with today's Cup of Tea.